Today, let's talk about adding signed integers. So, based off of our work using the number line, we know that whenever we add two positive integers, the answer is positive, and whenever we add two negative integers, the answer is negative. So, whenever we add a negative and a positive, the sign is going to be the same sign of the number who has the greater absolute value. So let's go ahead and do some examples on the number line. So let's do plus 2, positive 2 plus minus 4. So whenever we do this on the number line, that does not want to make a straight line. There we go. So here's 0. Whenever we do positive 2, we're here. So the absolute value is how many steps away from 0. So the absolute value of positive 2 is just 2. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4. So our sign is going to be negative. So we're actually going to, so we went over the plus 2, right? Now we're going to go back minus 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to leave us at negative 2. So our sign is still negative if you're not using the number line for the visual, because the absolute values, negative or 4 is the bigger number, and then you just take the difference between the two numbers. So 4 minus 2, which is negative 2, or 2, but you have the negative for the bigger number. But on the number line you can also see this. Let's do another example. Let's do let's just flip the signs. So let's do negative 2 plus positive 4. Let's do this without the number line. So the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. The absolute value of 4 is 4. 4 has the bigger absolute value, so our sign is going to be positive. Our answer is going to be positive. And then 4, we take the difference of the two numbers, so 4 minus 2 is 2, so our answer is going to be 2. Now, let me show you on the number line. Okay, so we're going to go back to, so here's negative 2, and then we're going to go add 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is our positive 2. Now, whenever you add opposite numbers that are exactly opposite, like negative 10 plus 10, or guess if these were parentheses, already putting them in absolutes, your answer is always going to be 0, and since neither sign is bigger, where 0 doesn't have a sign. So the rules for these are that the sum of two numbers with the same sign has an absolute value equal to the sum of their absolute values. And the sign is the same as the sign of the numbers. So the sum of two numbers with opposite signs has an absolute value equal to the difference of their absolute values, which is what we just did, and its sign is the same as the sign of their number with a greater absolute value. and the sum of two opposites is 0, which was our last example. So let's do a few more examples. So let's do find the sum. Find the sum. Let's do negative 44 plus negative 68. So the signs are the same, so we're going to keep that sign. And now we add the absolute values because the signs are the same. So the absolute value is just a positive, or negative 44 and negative 68. So it's going to be 44 plus 68. And we're keeping that negative. So 112. Right. Yeah. Okay. So these two are both negatives, so that's why we keep the negative, and then we added their absolute values. Now let's do one with different signs. So let's do positive 35 plus negative 57. So the absolute value of positive 35 is 35. Oh. Okay, it's 35, and then the absolute value of negative 57 is positive 57. So the 57 is the bigger number, so we're keeping that negative, and now we're going to take the difference of these two. So we're actually going to do 57 minus 35, which is 22. Alright, so the answer is negative 22. Now, let's do an example of numbers with the completely opposite signs. So let's do 93 plus 93. So based off of our rules, this is just going to be 0. The signs are opposite, neither one is bigger. The absolute values are both 93, but you're subtracting them. So now let's do another example for finding the sum. Let's do negative 2 plus negative 1 plus positive 6 plus negative 3. So we can do this two ways. We can just add them in order. So these two signs are the same, negative 2 and negative 1, so that's going to be negative. The absolute value is 2 and 1. So we add them together. So it's negative 3. Then we have plus positive 6 plus negative 3. Okay, so now let's look at these two. So we'll do the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. absolute value of positive 6 is 6. So 6 is the bigger number, so our answer is going to be positive. And since they're different signs, we take the difference. So 6 minus 3, which is 3. So this time it's positive 3 plus minus 3. So these are opposite signs, so our answer is going to be 0. So that's one way to do it. Another way, let me rewrite the question. Negative 2 plus negative 1 plus positive 6 plus negative 3. Another way to do this is to group these together by sign. So we know that if they're all the same sign, we add them together. So we can take all of these negative numbers and leave it negative. And 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So that gives us negative 6 plus positive 6, which is still opposite signs of the same number. So it's still 0. For a last example, let's do money. Let's say that you bet $100 that Nintendo is going to come out with 5 games this year, right? And so this is your bet. And they actually came out with all 5 games, so you gained $600. So you won $600. So what would be the net result, right? So your bet is going to be minus. That's how much you paid out of pocket, whether you won or not. Now, you did win, so that's going to be plus 600. So, the bigger number, absolute value, is going to be 600, so our answer is going to be positive. And then we're going to take the difference of the two numbers since they're opposite signs. So 600 minus 100 is 500. That's how much money you got overall based off of the bet and the win. So you can always look at money with negatives and positives, gains and losses. And that's it for this lesson.